Okay, everybody, I thought this would be a nice time to share my experience bringing a dog from Colombia into the United States. There are so many websites with information about it and different resources, and we had a pretty bad experience with this. So I figured start off with a video, and then we can always provide more information as we go through. So the first part of this I'll say is about um, why we decided to bring a dog in. It was not in our plan. We were spending a month in Colombia with our family, and the first place that we were staying for any given amount of time was a small village outside of Ibagué called La Cascada. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. Very, very rural. One dirt road goes through this town, and we have friends that live there. They own a coffee farm there, and so we were up there visiting. And this dog showed up at our place. Wonderful dog. Excuse me. And we, of course, started to build a bond with the dog. And we found out that while we were there, that he was being abused by the people that he was with. So the following morning was our last day there. We spoke with our friend who knew the situation, and I asked him culturally, "Is it okay, if we just take this dog?" He said, "Absolutely." The neighbors were all in agreement. They hated seeing this really sweet dog being abused, and so, long story short, we threw the dog in the car. Initially, I had told our family that this is going to be a disaster for us to go through, but maybe we could find a nice dog shelter in Medellin for the dog, or maybe he could live with one of our friends. So I kind of set the tone with the family, like, this doesn't mean we're taking the dog home, that we might just end up helping the dog in another way. That quickly went out the window. Tejo is his name. Absolutely incredible dog. I've had lots of dogs in my life. They've all been special in their own ways. They've all been wonderful animals. I will say Tejo, it's something different. He is a truly, truly remarkable friend and dog. So I'm very glad that we went through this. But anyway, that's the backstory. That's the Cliff Notes version. There's a lot more to it. So we decided to keep the dog. So the first day that we were in Guatapé, which is where we spent the majority of our time, that first Monday at 9 o'clock, we were at the vets. We worked with Dr. Nacho in Guatapé. Very, very great vet, very thorough, knows his stuff. So we went and saw him. He did the exam and the vaccine, the microchip. Those are things you need to do day one. Scan for a microchip. If the dog doesn't have a microchip, get it microchipped. Get your titer test drawn if you're not going to quarantine. And all the other vaccines like leptospirosis and things like that. He also gave us an oral flea tick deworming treatment that we gave him. It was like one little chew treat that we gave him. And that was literally the first day of this entire disaster kind of unfolding. So when you decide to quarantine the dog, what you'll do is obviously get the dog to the States. They get picked up at the port of entry from a third party private business. The dog stays there for 28 days. At the end of that, they call you, get the dog. That is absolutely the easiest possible scenario. We knew this dog was abused. He had bonded with us. We felt handing the dog over to a quarantine right now in a strange country with strange smells and strange people and all of that would be pretty traumatic for the dog. So Tejo was with us in Guatapé. We had friends come in from the US. We visited with them. Then we went to Jardín for a bit. We kind of did some traveling around the country in the car. Tejo was with us the whole time. The nice thing about that is while we were finishing our vacation, the clock was running on the serology. So the blood has to be sent to a CDC approved laboratory. These are all over the world. Unfortunately, not in Colombia. So our vet gave the blood sample to test lab in Medellin. Medellin determined where they wanted to send that blood sample to for the quickest result. The blood went to Kansas State Vet Laboratory in Manhattan, Kansas. They do their thing. They email you the results, whether he passes or not. Now, what the Favin serology test is, the titer test, it is a test that will prove that your dog's body is producing antibodies to rabies. That is done through two ways. One is a vaccine, and his body's fighting the vaccine, the live vaccine, so he's producing antibodies, which is how that works, or there's a latent rabies infection that the dog already has. Those two are going to create those antibodies. This process takes roughly 28 days for you to send off the blood sample and come back. So you cannot enter the country for 28 days after the dry date of the blood. That's really important. We kind of missed that detail. And the reason that's important is because that's how they rule out the latent rabies infection. So now 28 days later, your dog is here. He's got antibodies. It proves that it's from a vaccine and not a latent infection. And that's really, really important. So you're going to wait for the results. You can't really do anything until you get these results back. When the results come in, the labs will tell you 3 to 4 weeks. Some labs, like Kansas State, will let you type in the dog's microchip number and check the status of the test. Couple quick things on this. Number one, it was not very accurate. By the time we actually saw a result on their website, it had already been a few days that they've had the blood. So take that with a grain of salt. The other thing that's really frustrating is that when we found out that he had finalized and was ready to go, on the paperwork, the test was done on the 17th. We didn't hear until about March 28th. So for about 11 days, the results just sat somewhere. I don't know, but they just sat there. So it would have been awesome if we got those earlier, because I had to send my whole family back to the States. That was the end of our vacation, and we had other things that they had to do, like school and work and other stuff. And so I ended up staying behind for about 2 more weeks, waiting for this and getting the rest of the other stuff done. So that was challenging, but I guess it's the nature of the beast. So when you notice on the website, it'll say finalized, they will email you a report that looks just like this. This is the Favin report form. And what you really care about is right down here, there is a value, 4.56. That's a good result. That's a favorable result. So that was really good news. Once I had this piece of paper is really when the work starts. So when you have this piece of paper, you can start thinking about your travel plans to get home. Everything kind of unlocks after you get this result. The really hard part about this step of the process too is there's so many interdependent things that you are required to provide or do without that information coming into you. So there's this really stressful push-pull thing. And I'll give you an example. If you want to make your airline and travel plans so you're not paying a last-minute ticket, so you can maybe book a week out or something, you really can't, because you have to have a confirmation from that animal facility at that port to make sure that they can take your animal in. So there's a lot of different codependency things that you have to work out in the process, and it's pretty stressful. Advice I would give you on travel plans that I did, I went ahead and booked it. I booked my travel, but I bought a fully refundable ticket. So at least now you have a date to shoot for. You can give that flight confirmation to the animal care facility. But then again, if something goes sideways, you can reschedule and you can change your ticket. So that's the first thing that I really recommend doing at this point. Go ahead, book your flights, but make sure that they're either fully refundable or you can afford to book again. Okay, so then the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to book your animal care reservation. I can't stress this enough. Do not go through Miami. Like, absolutely do not go through Miami. If I had to do it all over again, I'd go through like Antarctica first, because my experience in Miami was terrible. What happened in Miami? So I made my flight reservation on a Friday morning. I had sent all the paperwork and everything over to this other animal facility in Miami, and there was no confirmation back. I'll get into this in a minute, but I just want to share the idea of this. So there was a technicality that had happened where I hadn't heard back from the animal care facility. I didn't know I needed to hear back from the animal care facility. So Tejo and I showed up in Miami, and we got to secondary and customs. The CBP agents there were absolutely embarrassingly terrible. As an American citizen, I was embarrassed that my tax dollars are paying for people of this caliber to have a job like they had. They were rude, they were bullies, they were just borderline inappropriate with how they talked to me. They were flippant, they were disrespectful. It was unwarranted, and it's really a shame that people like that are in the positions that they're in. However, that's not my control. The CDC individual, while he remained professional, there was a lot left to be desired there as well. And I don't need to get into that, but he was of no help. So they ended up denying my dog entry. I bought a last minute ticket from Miami to Medellin for about $450. We boarded the dog back up and we flew back to Colombia. So all of that was because of a technicality between myself and the animal care facility in Miami. So take it with a grain of salt. You are going to deal with the bottom of the barrel individuals at CBP, and you're going to deal with a animal care company that has an F rating with the BBB, that has very poor Google and Facebook reviews. Even if it's easier for you to go through Miami, I urge you, go through Dulles, go through Atlanta. I've talked to both of those animal care facilities. One of them is helping me currently. This is Pender Pet Retreat. They have been wonderful. So I would recommend go through DC, go through Dandy Scott Kennels in Atlanta. They've been fantastic and huge help to me as well. So I can't stress that enough. Do not go through Miami, period. Okay. All right. So you're going to make your reservation with the animal care facility, and you're going to have to deal with a ton of paperwork. If your travel date is within 10 days, go back to your vet, get yourself an international travel health certificate from the vet. Okay. You're going to need to have this. It is only valid for 10 days of your flight. So make sure that you get that started and going right away. You're then going to go ahead and complete one of the most important documents. Okay. That is the Certificate of Foreign Rabies and Microchip form. Okay. This is the form that is going to provide the CDC with the traceability of the FAVN results and your dog's microchip that you did on day one. It also provides kind of a chain of custody for the vet that did the work on your dog, so that your vet will complete this section here, and then you'll need a national government veterinarian to basically endorse here that this is a legitimate vet. This is going to be ICA in Colombia, and then this is going to be the local vet that did your vaccines, your microchipping, all of that stuff. What is really important in this form, the entire thing has to be typed. It says it on the top of the form. And I thought that, most forms say they have to be typed, but where you sign it, you can handwrite a date. You can handwrite, your title or something. Not this form. This entire form needs to be typed out, with the exception of, in this section, the signature and the stamp of your vet. Then they allow the ICA portion to be handwritten, because obviously you can't get that and then type it out and print it again. You get kind of in this loop. So only section G can be handwritten at any point. So make sure that you follow that to a T. The other really important thing on these forms, in Colombia and other parts of the world, they write their dates differently, right? So they will do day, month, year. In the States, we do month, day, year. So whenever your vet is providing you with a date, make sure it is in the US date format. That is going to screw a lot of people up. It screwed me up a little bit. It wasn't a showstopper for me, but it could have been. So on all the papers, you need to make sure that the US date format is followed. So you're going to print this out. You're not going to have it necessarily. You might have it signed and stamped by your vet, but you're not going to deal with ICA just yet. So you're going to get this stuff taken care of first. As you're completing these documents, what you're going to do with your animal care facility, you're going to reply to all in their welcome email that they send you. And as you get these documents ticked off, just like take a picture, scan them, whatever you can do, and then just reply all and send them to them, okay? They're also going to ask you for photos of the dog. So I took a face-on photo, a body shot photo, also photos of the front teeth and photos of the side teeth. So while you're getting all this paperwork done, probably a great idea to go ahead and get those done, send them over to them as well. You are also going to, well, these aren't really required, but I think that they're a really nice to have thing. We got a rabies vaccination certificate done by our vet. And what he did here is he wrote it all out, signed it, and stamped it with all of his information, the vaccine information, which has the lot, the serial number, the manufacturer, the duration. He also took a scan of Tejo's microchip card, and then he also scanned in the pages from Tejo's vaccine booklet. So this was a really, really nice little thing that our vet did. It wasn't required by a government agency or anything, but it was just nice insurance to have that. So that was great. As you're getting all of your stuff completed, it's going to be really, really important that you also stay organized. So I went to the papeleria in Guatapé and I got myself a plastic folio. This was great, protected it. As you go through the process, these could be about $5,000 worth of forms, so they're worth a lot of money. So not a bad idea to prevent a spilled cup of coffee or something from getting on your stuff. So go ahead and do that. Okay, so now we've got the travel sorted. We found our animal care facility. Hopefully they've confirmed with you that your date will work. They've sent you a welcome kit with a lot of other information. Maybe there's some invoicing information for credit card information, stuff like that. You've got all that returned. You've got your FAVN results. You've got your any extra rabies vac stuff that your vet is providing to you. You've also got your certification for foreign rabies and microchip, mostly completed. So you're going to put all these together, and now you need to go to ICA. And in Medellin, ICA is at the Jose Maria Cordova Airport. They are, if you're looking at the front of the airport, it's kind of like a half moon shaped airport. It is in the cargo facility, which is over to the left. It's a separate exit off the roundabout. You don't go where arrivals and departures are. It's a completely separate area of the airport, far left. You'll go over, there's a paid to park area. You'll go in, you'll give them your ID. They'll give you a badge. Right now, as of early April 2025, you go to the second floor on the right side. They have those security barrier things you kind of go through on the right side only. Go up the stairs that are indoors and down the long hall to office M11. That is where the ICA representative is going to be. You have to bring your dog and you have to bring your paperwork. The lines there can be really long. Here's what I did with ICA. And this may have been kind of a harbinger of doom, which I probably should have paid more attention to. My flight was on a Monday morning, so I decided the Saturday beforehand I was going to do a dry run, like a dress rehearsal for this. So I drove to the airport. I did not bring my paperwork because I didn't think I could get it all done. I went upstairs with the dog. We walked over to the office, and I figured, well, I can at least ask this gentleman some questions. So I sat down with him. He said, oh, no, you don't need any of your paperwork. I'm just going to give you this health certificate. And I said, oh, well, isn't there another form for the CDC that you need to complete? And he said, no, I don't complete anything else except for this health certificate. And I said, oh, that's fantastic. I went ahead and gave him my credit card. I think he charged about 17,000 pesos and gave me this ICA health certificate. He scanned the dog. He looked over the dog, gave him some water, played with the dog for a minute. Super nice guy. Gave me this. This could have been a denial for entry if the wonderful folks at CBP didn't already grant it because of my reservation issue. But the vet at ICA who told me he doesn't do anything but the ICA certificate did not complete Section G of this certificate. So even if the folks in Miami CBP were super friendly and professional and wonderful human beings, there's a likelihood that I still would have been denied entry because of that. So make sure you bring all of your paperwork. Make sure you have him or her fill out Section G of the certificate of foreign vax and microchip, because that's a requirement. They're also going to give you this really official looking ICA paper, which you will need to keep with you for everything else for the airlines and others to see. Okay, so now we've got everything together here. What you're going to want to do as you get closer to your travel date is you're going to go ahead and complete the CDC dog import form. That is done online. You can Google it and find it. It is free. There's no cost. You're going to provide basically the same information you've been providing all along to the CDC. However, Now you have your flight details, your flight number, your date of arrival, all that information. And once you click submit, it requires a photo of your dog as well. Once you hit submit, about 5 to 10 minutes later, you're going to get an email back confirming that you've submitted it. You will want to print that confirmation email. So you will print that confirmation email. It'll have a form attached to it, and it will have that receipt of the CDC dog import form. Print that off with you. All right. So now you're going to have a stack of papers. So here was my CDC import receipt right here, as well as everything else. And we'll go over everything here in just a moment. That form that you do online, the CDC dog import form, can only be used once. So if your flight travel stuff changes or something else happens, you're going to have to resubmit it. So keep that in mind. So what we're going to have as a packet now, and I'm just going to go through here and do this at the same time. We're going to have the email confirmation of the CDC import form. We are also going to have our ICA health certificate. We are going to have our import reservation from whatever pet facility you end up using that is not in Miami. We're also going to have your CDC foreign vax confirmation and microchip form with section 2 filled out, and that is going to be fully typed out with US format dates, and you're going to have your FAVN report. This alone right here is what the airlines are going to need. This is what CBP is going to need when you arrive at another port other than Miami. Okay, that is all. Everything else is just like extra insurance. Another thing our vet did for us was just like this nice medical confirmation thing he printed out with his own license and everything. So again, he was super thorough. I never had to show that. I never had to show the other vaccine stuff. You're going to also get a vaccine booklet here that you're going to want to hold on to. You're going to get a microchip certificate. Nobody asked for any of that stuff. Okay. So once again, you're going to have your serology results. You're going to have the CDC certification of foreign rabies vax and microchip. You're going to have your import reservation request and acknowledgement from the company you're going to work with. You're going to have your ICA Colombian health certificate, and you're going to have the receipt of your CDC dog import form. This is your ticket for your dog to come to the US. That's all you're going to need. So let's talk about the process. So you're going to arrive. I came into Washington, D.C. Let's assume it's kind of the same wherever you go. There might be some differences here and there, but for the most part, it's all the same. I arrived at Dulles and went to passport control. There was no line. It was wonderful. I went straight up to the folks that were working there. Declared that I have a live animal. I was fortunate. Tejo could fly with me in the cabin, so obviously he was with me, so they knew that. But don't forget to say you have a live animal with you, even if it's in the baggage. They took my passport. They put it in like a plastic box with a lock on it, kind of like a anti-shoplifting device kind of a thing. Handed me an orange slip for secondary inspection, and I had to then walk to a customs official further down who escorted me to secondary. I went into secondary. The first thing that they were going to do was inspect my backpacks. That's all I had was my backpacks. They ended up just running through the x-ray machine. They were super professional, really friendly, really easy to work with, and just really all around good people. So that was really a good experience. Then I had to have a seat. Another gentleman called me up. I went up to the counter. I laid out my paperwork. He was able to take a glance at what he needed. That's the point in time where he went ahead and called Pender, told them that I was there. So now that individual could leave that facility here in Chantilly, Virginia, and start driving over to Dulles. That was my first sign that things are going in the right direction. Like, we had everything together. The guy was called. Like, I'm feeling really good about it. You're going to go sit down again. They're going to come over and they're going to give you this form that they're going to ask you to fill out. It's going to have your personal information. It's essentially saying that the agricultural specialist required a formal entry. They're going to put your dog's microchip number and information. The agent's going to sign it. You're going to sign it. And I never really needed to show it, but I kept it just in case someday I need to prove anything. Uh, and then from that point forward, we had another seat. We waited for a bit, and then the agent called me forward. I was able to go to follow this agent with Tejo, and we went to baggage claim where his empty kennel was. They asked me to put my dog in the kennel. One agent showed up in the waiting area and was very odd. He had a little beagle that was with him, and he's like, "Oh, we've got working dogs here, and this and that." And asked why I didn't have my dog in the kennel. I said, well, because I wasn't able to go to baggage to get the kennel because I had to come through passport control, and you can't leave passport control. And he didn't seem to really understand how that didn't work, but it didn't work. So when this agent took me over there, I finally got the kennel. He asked me to put Tejo in the kennel, and then I had to carry the kennel about 100 feet to the back door. At this point, Pender was there. They opened the door. They came in. I said goodbye to Tejo. They took Tejo, and I was off. I got a hotel, and I'm just kind of camped out here for a couple of days. Hopefully, Tejo will be released Monday morning. So I'm really hoping everything went really well. So I can now call Pender Pet Retreat. I called this morning. I checked on Tejo. They said he's doing great. He enjoyed his walk this morning and everything. So again, those guys have been fantastic. I hope this video can help people understand what's needed and what this is. This right now, as of Sunday, April 6, 2025, our family is out about $7,000 to adopt this mutt. We didn't really lose a vacation, but the bulk of our 1 month vacation, it was changed, where we were now kind of obsessed about results and vets and going through and doing all of this stuff. So keep that in mind. And then just the fact that I haven't seen my family in almost 3 weeks now. So it's been very stressful for all of us, including the dog. I mean, everybody's been just kind of going through this really crazy process. So keep that in mind. I still would not have quarantined him. I think that this little 3-day quarantine is probably the best bet. But whatever your dog and what's best for you to pursue. I'm going to record a completely separate video and go more in depth into what exactly happened in my situation. This really is the best case scenario that I just went over. You get your documents in time, you make your reservations, you get your confirmation, and you're good to go. So work hard on getting your paperwork done in that order. Make sure dates are correct. Make sure everything's completed that's completed. Make sure everything's typed out. Otherwise, it's really, really easy to forget a step or trip up and make a mistake on that. So that being said, best of luck importing your dog, and good luck and good travels.